interact and deal with people of varying, practices or beliefs in how they operate and run their business. But that does not mean that it has to be the case for you when it comes down to your health. It does not have to be the case to you when it comes down to your wellness practices. So I have one quick question for you guys. So which is simply, if we're looking at sleep and we think about hygiene, if we think about the fact that it ties into, our longevity, because I want to get into what I want to talk to Ms. Pamsky about. What do you think I'll say the top two, what do you think is one of the biggest factors that affects our longevity or how long we will live? Who can answer that? What do you think affects it the most?
Regeneration of cells.
Okay, regeneration of cells. Anyone else?
Or what you put in your body. Yeah, the food that you put in your body. Stress.
So I got food, stress, regeneration. What else?
How much sleep you get?
Sleep.
Sleep.
Okay. Any others?
Lean muscle.
Lean muscle. I love it.
Exercise.
Sleep and exercise. Any others? Final round.
Happy heart.
Happy heart. Ooh. So somebody is getting warmer. You guys, I was blown away. I believe it was either Harvard or it could have been the Journal of Cardiology. But they're doing a study, and it's been the longest running human health span, lifespan, longevity study in the US. And do you guys realize it's actually our relationships? Sleep is up there, but our relationships. That is the single most the defining thing that affects and impacts our longevity. Because guess what else it affects? It affects our food choices. It also affects our sleep quality. It affects, there's so many things. I was like blown away as I was just delving in. I kind of nerd and geek out, you guys, on like studies. And that was one that blew my mind. And so when I thought about, our hopes and our dreams and driving down Hope Lane, I thought, who better to talk to when it comes down to relationships, not only just relationships with others, but relationships to ourselves, than Pamsky. So you guys, I am so excited to actually bring and talk to my friends. I love this woman to the moon and back, Ms. Pamsky. How are you doing this morning?
Shawnte, I'm doing so well. Thank you so much. It's such an honor and such a pleasure to be here. And I'm there too. I'm like, relationships are the most important.
Absolutely. So a lot of people don't understand the important, like fake relationships, if it affects your health, listen, we know for a fact that our real relationships, and I want us to understand we can't be an island unto ourselves. That is what's going to affect your longevity. That is what's also affecting your sleep quality. So sleep is not for suckers. Sleep is an investment in our health and our longevity, and it affects our mental well-being. It affects even your depression symptoms. There's so many things that are tied into our sleep, but I really wanted us to get and hone in and lean in on the relationship parts, because I think sometimes we can think relationships are, that's for later, Ms. Pamsky, and it's not for later. So I hope that you will help us out this morning and start us off with a quote that you're fond of.
Okay, so a quote that I just absolutely love, and has been dear to me for many, many, many years now. And when I first heard it, I said, nope, this isn't true. So it is. I'm not going to give you the whole thing. You can look up the rest of it, but I'm going to give you a portion of it because it's a little long. It says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's not our light. It is our light, not our darkness, that most scares us. And I remember this is from Miriam Williamson. And I remember the first time I heard it, I was struggling. with who I was. I had just come from a lot of abuse. And I remember reading that thinking, that's not true. That's not true. But I can tell you it is true. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. Love that quote.
Oh, I love that. That's Marianne Williamson, right?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I so heart hurt. So you guys, I have this thing that I like. I think what we focus on, it matters and pay attention to. So I have something that I like to do with any guest that I have. Love to know your fave five, Pamski. And I'm gonna come around to some of you guys and ask you your fave five. But what would be 5 words that would describe you or the things that you care about at this stage in your life?
Love that. So integrity, it's super, super important. And I live to have authenticity is extremely important to me. And when you're talking about fake, I'm like, yes, because I just don't do fake. Life breather. Definitely, everywhere I go, I want to be a life breather. Okay, here it is. Grandkids and family. I've got 3 beautiful grandkids, a set of twins and a grandson, and then my husband, who is the greatest supporter in my life.
Oh, I absolutely love that. So I want to open the stage really, really quick. And if you're not on stage, you can type it in the chat and we'll read it for you. But anyone else got their fave 5 that they want to share with us? Or if you don't even have 5, you can give us 2 or 3 words. But 5 words. What are 5 words that you care about? 5 things that would describe you.
Hey, good morning. It's Trisha. I'll go real quick. 5 words for me are loyalty, honesty, faith, family, and love.
Boom, shakalaka. I love that. Anyone else? Trisha, thank you for participating.
Okay, I'm going next. Okay, girl, I love you. Thank you for firing me up. I'm over here walking around, going. So my words are integrity, trustworthy, like-minded, community, because I love community, and those are mine.
Woohoo! I love it, you guys. I am going to try to make it through with this voice as much as I can, you all. Anyone else?
Okay, I'm going to go for the classic live, love, laugh, care, and matter.
I know that voice. It's Patty. You guys, I hope you're paying attention because the things that I'm asking Pamski, I'm actually going to do 2 giveaways today. So I'm just saying, stay locked in. And Patty and Natasha can tell you I keep my word. Do I not?
Yeah,
I got my book. Boo, boo, boo.
Yes, Mary Lynn too. All right, so final call for the fave 5 before me and Pamski move on. All right, so I think all hearts and minds are clear, Pamski. So that takes me into gratitude. Yes.
Okay, is there just an opportunity? May I ask Pamski a question about her quote?
Oh yes, go for it. Go for it. Yep.
Help save your voice. And I just thought, because she said that quote didn't always resonate with her, the Marianne Williamson one, it doesn't resonate with me either. And I try every day to understand that quote. So I thought maybe since it didn't resonate with you at one point, what shifted? I don't understand, like my body just does not resonate with the thing you fear is not being inadequate, but being our greatness. And I try and put that on and wear it. I'm like, I don't get it. I can't wrap my mind around that one. My fear really is the inadequacy. And I don't think I am, afraid of being powerful. I want to be powerful. Like I embrace the idea of powerful. So I just thought since maybe you felt that way at one point too, you could shed a new light on it for me and just expand on it for a second. And I hope that's okay. I know we have a little time in your voice, but I just thought it'd be the perfect opportunity.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And a lot of it had to do with, so when I first saw that quote and felt that way, it was because I was so still in a place of not knowing who I was. I was in a place of not understanding what my purpose was, or like I was living in this cave of emotional struggle and not really seeing who I really was. And as I began to go through this process of self-healing from all the past stuff that happened, I began to see this more and more. And if you continue to read the quotes, you begin to see that there's, more to it. And it's something that as I healed more and more, it was like, oh, wait a minute. It is the light that I was more afraid of, because we are made to be great. Like, we are made to be great. You were created, you were made to be great, and yet the world says you're not. There's so many things that comes at us to try to snuff out our light. And I began to see, I think that's the journey of what really did it, was I began to see all the things in my life that tried to snuff me out. I went on this journey of, how many of you have ever been through the 12 steps? Mine wasn't necessarily for everyone. Although I had somewhat of that problem, mine was more for emotional damage. And as I went through those steps, the more I went through the steps, getting to the 12th step is when I really started to see it, because it's like, wait a minute, I do have a purpose. I am here for a reason. I was made to be great. And I think even just telling yourself that every day, you begin to see it. You begin to see that you were made for a great purpose. So I think that's what really did it for me. So now when I read the quote, it's like, oh man, I'm not playing small anymore, because small means the world wins. And it's like, no, I'm not letting the world win. So yeah, I think it's definitely a mind shift, and that begins to change the inside of you too.
Well, thank you for that. I look forward to the day where I shift and I'm like, I'm so afraid of my light. And I'm going to read the quote, the rest of the quote too, so that I can just embody it all, because I appreciate that perspective. So thank you, Health, for the space and letting me just dive deeper on that, because it is really something I hear all the time. And I'm like, I'm trying to wear that. And it didn't fit, but that helps, Bamski. So thank you. You're welcome.
Absolutely. And that's what this space is about. And it was the perfect time to ask that question, because we were simply just going to go through gratitude anyway. So I'm grateful that you got an opportunity to get more clarity. So Bamski, this is Women's History Month, and I really want us to take an opportunity really quick. And those of you on stage, if you haven't participated in this, I would love to hear some of the names of, there has to be at least one woman that's not related to you that, that you're grateful for, that has impacted your life maybe throughout, in your childhood. Could have been a teacher, a neighbor, or someone at church, or a community worker, or politician. Any woman that you're grateful for that may have had an influence or impact on your life when you were younger. Pamski, do you have one?
Yes, I do. There was up the street from me, I had a best friend, and her mom would let me stay over at her house. She showed me such kindness, and she would take me to church. Because she knew I would beg my parents to take me to church, and my parents weren't churchgoers, and so she would take me to church on Sundays, and I have such gratitude for her for that, because I think that had been one of the things that helped save me in so many ways.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Your friend's mom, telling my friend's mom also had a huge impact on me. Even the way that I like motherhood, she was that example that I used as to how to be a mom, at such an early age. And is there anyone else on stage? Is there a woman's name that you'd like to call, male or female? I don't want it only to be us women talking, but is there anyone else? Go for it.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you, Gail. This was awesome this morning. Her name was Marge Lemke. This is going to really age me completely here, because none of you are going to even remember Raquel Welch. But she was this gorgeous.
Ew.
Well, okay, but I'm just saying a lot of the younger people are. Who the heck is that? She looks like Raquel Welch. Yeah, she looks like Raquel Welch, only more beautiful. And I'm not even kidding. I was in a room with 100 people at an event that we were hosting, and all of a sudden the room kind of hushed. And she was coming in with her husband. You could hear the murmurs. Who was stunning. She took me on as her personal project, and she breathed life into me. And she actually taught me how to. She told me that you're the executive of the most important business in the world of raising the next generation of shakers and movers. She said, I want you to get into your Rolls Royce. I want you to drive to your 100 building building and get into the elevator, take it up to the 78th floor. You're the executive. I want you to dress just like you were going into that Rolls Royce, going into the 78th floor, and I want you to dress that way from now on. Because I was wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt at the time. I took it to her word. It changed my life. I can assure you that she was instrumental. When Marge talked, you listened. She could lay hands on a dead body and revive it. So nobody messed with Marge, okay? So that's where I'm at. Thank you so much.
Oh, I love this, y'all. Let's keep this thing going. I love these stories. It really does something for us to hear it. I heard someone else on mic. Is there someone else? I know there's a woman in your life.
That I never shared in my life, and I never had this thought before, and I love doing it organically. This is really weird. It's not a living person. And then you kind of confirmed my thought, Health, and I'll make it really quick. It's the baby doll, because the baby doll taught me how to nurture. I know that's really weird. I've never had this thought before, but in gratitude, I'm thankful for the baby doll. And then I just thought, like, it's a shame that, there's a stigma to allow the boys to play with dolls too. And by the way, Gail, you definitely give off the Raquel Welch vibe from your PTR. I'm just saying.
I love that. I don't know if you were here before, Patty, when I shared my Cabbage Patch doll story. That was that catalyst of me knowing that goal setting and visualization. And before I knew what a vision board was, I was literally going to, there was a lady, Miss Bonnie Mae Gillis, and I'm super grateful for her. She was like a family friend, and she was one of the few people that got the newspaper. I told you guys, we grew up really, really, poor. So the newspaper was like a luxury that we just couldn't afford. But that's how I got to see, the Cabbage Patch doll ads and things, and I would cut it out and take it with me. I cannot tell you how much of like that process that really helped me, Patty, is that doll baby. And it was going to Miss Bonnie Mae's house every week and getting to see that Cabbage Patch and asking her, can I take that piece of the paper? And she would let me, and just having it. And I was imagining all the things me and my Cabbage Patch doll were going to do, Maryland. I was actually thinking about all of the events and all of the imaginary thing. We were going to have tea party, all kinds of stuff. But that was that catalyst. That's when I knew. It took me about 2.5 years to finally get my Cabbage Patch doll. And this was in the early 80s. But I tell you guys, it was huge. I never forgot. Like, I didn't let go of that desire. Like, it was a burning desire. I'm gonna actually put that in a book, someday. But it was just such a powerful thing. So I don't take doll babies lightly, because I know what the impact it did, having my first Cabbage Patch doll, and it being the one thing that the first thing that I ever remembered wanting so bad was a doll baby, and specifically that Cabbage Patch doll. So thank you so much for contributing that. So Ms. Pamsky, I know for a fact that there are books and things that you can recommend to us. There has to be maybe a female authored book or something that has helped you along your journey. Do you have one for us?
I do actually. I'm a big fan of Brene Brown, and any book that she writes just hits home for me. And so Atlas of the Heart and some of her others. And I actually really like Dr. Caroline Lee. She does the books, Who Switched Off Your Brain. love those. And Who Switched on Your Brain, they're really, really helpful books.
Absolutely love that. So Pamsky is gonna handle. I gave her a series of questions, y'all, because I am literally losing more and more of my voice. So Pamsky, if you could go ahead and go right on in, and take us to the glory of the finish line here, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Sure, I will do that. So, I love the way Shawnte did this. Her questions were so good. And she had asked, how do you get to the other side of something in life that tested your hope? And, I had a house. I mean, I'm writing my book, but my life has been one story after another that's been amazing. It's been an amazing, hard, but really good journey. And I had a house that wouldn't sell for 6 years. Talk about starting to lose hope. Because I prayed and prayed and prayed that this house would sell, and it didn't sell for 6 years. But let me tell you something. The hope that I had was I stayed close to God, and I kept praying, and He kept showing me things. My greatest lessons came out of this house that would not sell for 6 years. But I can tell you that house sold the exact same day, that same month, that we were told that we were going to lose our jobs. And which is amazing, just simply amazing. And so hope is something that we need to have. And as we're getting, into a new month, here we are 3 months into a new year. The one thing I want to end this with is life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. And that's it. We must keep moving. There was a time where I was suicidal and I wanted to end it all. And today I am so grateful for the people who breathed life into me and the people who came alongside of me and said, you can do it. You can do it. Come on. Let's talk about this. So keep moving, because there's amazing things waiting for you. So glad to be here. Thank you so much, Shawnte, for having me as a guest, and love what you're doing. We will pass this to whoever is next.
No, we haven't.
No, we have an hour, Pamsky. Yes. I definitely wanted us to have that Q&A with you, and you had such a phenomenal segment earlier this week. So if you can keep going with the questions, as well as letting others ask you some questions as well.
Yes. Well, why don't we open the mic and just what I just said, and we'll let you make comments or ask questions. That is awesome. Who else here has a way, like what have you done that helped you to be able, that kept your hope or helped you give hope? Where does your hope come from, and how have you been able to gain it?
Well, I think that I have a question for you, but we couldn't hear you very well. No, but then I think Gail on mic, so you can answer the question. But see, you're so silence.
I just want to say, right now is the time. Right now is that time for me. Where do I get my hope?
That's good.
I'm getting there. My hope. I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was gonna not be able to clap. It's a miracle. I want to say that my hope was that my son was found. In all honesty, that was my hope. That was what the whole family was counting on. That's what my son Travis John was counting on. He believed it right up till 2 days before, when he looked at me with this horror in his face. He said, "Mom, am I dying?" And I looked at him, I said, "Not today, son, not today." That was all I could say. And I want you to know now with him, I know where he's at. It was the most amazing Passover there ever was on planet Earth. I mean, I really mean that sincerely. It's crazy. That's a story. That's a day for you and I, Mary Lynn, to just sit down and talk for an hour, but not for this platform. And I can tell you that my hope, my strength, my joy comes from the fact that I had that beautiful young man for 48 years as my best friend. For 48 years, we did life together. And he was dangerous, and he was disruptive, and he was the most present person I've ever known in my entire life. Never in my life. If you someday I'll put a video on of him with his niece, and you will never have heard anybody listen the way he listened. It was incredible how deep the relationships he had. Thousands, 10,000 people were heartbroken. So I just want you to know my hope comes from the fact that through this whole entire season, I had that beautiful young man for 48 years of total joy. The baton has been handed on to each one of us. Knew him and loved him, and that is to go forth with joy and delight and light, and touch as many lives, and hold as many people, and wipe as many tears, and blow as many noses, and laugh and cry and laugh some more. And that's what I intend to do. So that's what I have to say, guys.
Oh, that was so beautiful. So beautiful. Thank you, Gail. So beautiful. You touched my heart. Such a, to know that's where you've been, and that's, what you've experienced and where your hope comes from. And so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing your heart. I know sometimes we feel like, I'm crying and I don't want people to know I'm crying. And yet it's the most beautiful thing, because that's when we actually see people's hearts. And I love that. Thank you so much. Anybody else? Where does your hope come from, or what is something that you had to really reach down and find hope in?
Well, I have to tell you, Saturday mornings, a lot of people are moving and grooving, and so you have 20 minutes here, and if you need some assistance packing up his help, I don't know if you're able to speak at all or not, but
she's giving me some questions here, so I can keep going.
Okay. My apologies. I just was going to back up if she was having voice issues and support, and but go ahead, Pam.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Real time troubleshooting.
Yeah, she prepared me well. She was like, okay, I've got some questions here. And she forewarned me that her voice was really struggling. So, yeah, she also asked, what would you say? Oh, this is a good question, too. When I read this, and I have to be honest, when she questions, I didn't expect them to be, when people interview you, you get pretty much the usual questions, she gave me these questions, and it was like, ooh, I didn't think about some of these. Because see, what some of you don't know is that I come from a pretty hard background, full of abuse. And then when I left home, and we're talking physical, emotional, abuse. And when I left home, I entered into a relationship with a guy that I was physically and emotionally abused by, and he left me pretty much for dead. He was strangling me, and I looked up and saw my son, who was about 9 months old, and his face beat red, just screaming because his dad had been beating me before he got me on the couch and started strangling me. And so when I read some of these questions, it was like, wow, I'm really going to have to dig in there, because when the question that I answered about who is a woman who, inspired me or that I was grateful for, I had to really think about that one, because it was like, okay, let's see. Because people didn't get involved when stuff like that was going on. And so you live a pretty, lonely life And it's hard to, it's just hard to look around and see, okay, who was there? But then as I dug, it's like, yeah, wait a minute. My neighbor was so good about making sure, that I was, that I went to church. And so one of her other questions was, what would you say to 12-year-old you about hope? And this I thought was such a good question because, you can see the whole topic is about hope. And it was such a good question because I thought, wow, okay, what would I say to the 12-year-old now that I'm 50? I'm going to be 58 this year. And it was like, what would I say to myself? And the answer is, I would tell myself, don't give up. Don't give up. That what you see right now is not the way it's always going to be. That there's more to life, and that there's more to relationships, and there's more to me. That's why that quote was so important to me, because there's more to me than what you know and what you see right now. And that was so incredible because at 12, I was just about pivoting to, so up to 12, I tried to be the good girl. And at home, my name was good for nothing, rotten SOB. And so I tried so hard to be the good girl, which didn't change anything. So at 12, when I turned 13, something clicked in me. And I had decided I was going to be exactly who my mom said I was. Yeah, that didn't go so well either. But if at 12, someone could have said, I know you feel like it's hopeless. I know you feel like this is never going to change. I know you feel like you're in a prison and you can't get out. I know you feel like you're drowning. But let me tell you, it gets so much better. Hang on. Keep going. Because when I turned 13 is also when I became suicidal. So like when she picked that age, I'm thinking, wow, it's just amazing to look back in your life. And I can tell you today, it's why I have such a heart for women who are struggling, because it's like, you know what? We get into those pits. We get into that place where we feel like we're just scratching the pull up out of the pit. And that's why I think, just like Shawnte said, a relationship is most important. And when she said what she did, I thought, yes, I'm in there, because it is relationships that made such a difference for me. Relationships with the people who breathed life into me, relationships with people who could say, don't give up, or show me truth. That's really what I needed. I was so much covered up with lies that I needed someone to say, no, that is not true. Here is the truth. And I love that, love that, love that. So my question for you is the same. What would you say to the 12-year-old you? What is something that you would say that about hope for the 12-year-old you? Anyone can unmic.
I guess I just would say that, gosh, I don't know, 12 was such an terrible age for me. I think that's when I really lost my self-esteem. So I think I would say, find people who celebrate you, not tolerate you. That, I was always on the cusp of two, like always on, I didn't really have a home. Like I didn't really associate with this is like a weird, I'm just going to like do middle school terms, right? Like the unpopular kids, because they were doing things like chess and band, like, you know what I mean? Like I was in a smaller school. Sorry. Okay, so it's just like the unpopular kids. I'm just being transparent, right? For whatever reason, They like picked their nose or whatever, like just like unpopular kids. And then we had the half of the class that was like popular and had like cool clothes and pretty, or just really fun. And so I was almost pretty enough, and I was almost fun enough, but I wasn't really popular, but I wasn't really an outcast in my class. We had 24 kids, and I think I fell right in the middle, like of the 12 and 12. And I went to a small Catholic school, so I would just be like, find the people where you're celebrated and not tolerated. I should have not worried about where I fit in, but just been around the people who embraced me and not tried to embrace other people. So that's what I got for you, Pamski.
Oh, I love that. That was so good. Yes. It's funny when you said, the junior high, the high school terms. But it's true though. I didn't feel like I fit in. School actually for me was my escape, and yet in school I don't know, I felt like I really struggled when it came to fitting in with different groups, because there were different groups in school, different cliques and stuff, and I wasn't sure where I fit in. But I think it was also because I didn't fit in my own skin. I wasn't comfortable in my own skin, so that was a struggle for me when it came to groups of people.
Absolutely.
And meet people too. Yeah.
I just wanted to say real quick, I saw somebody in the Stephanie say, I can answer. If you are answering in the chat, I swear you're going to have to just learn to and jump in.
Oh, I'm gonna be assertive.
Yeah, that's it. Yes.
Hi, everybody. It's such an honor to be here. I've been with you all at the beginning of Clubhouse, and now I'm back, and I'm glad you guys are back and on fire. I wake up early with you each and every morning. I live in the suburbs of Chicago, Illinois. Listen, I love this question. I came from a two-parent home. Grew up in a white, predominantly Jewish Italian neighborhood. I am Black, and I would stress to this day my 12-year-old self, study hard, play hard, because everything educational-wise will determine your future. We're Christians, but will determine your future. I have friendships that I've had since I was 7. We go out to dinner every quarter, and what I would say is know your identity. Go back and make sure that you have a strong foundation. Your foundation, listen, determines your future. Your foundation determines your future. And I've had such a wonderful life. I mean, I've had bumps and bruises, but I'm telling you, my 12-year-old self, I would be like, study. But the problem is relationships. There was no Italian guy or Italian Jewish guy going to bring me home to date when I became 13, 14, 15. I had to go to other neighborhoods to know my culture. So that's the only thing, is that I was like kind of shaken up in my identity, but I would say just stay close to your parents, stay close, and find outlets of other places to know your culture. That's what I had a great childhood. I'm still friends with those people to this day. And I'm Stephanie, and I'm done speaking.
Oh my gosh.
That's great. Yes.
Thank you so much. So I wanted to give you guys a little context as to I had to take a little throat coat tea and put one of the lozenges in. But I actually have a group of girls, and that's why I'm so grateful that the way that you all, the three of you, answered this question. And not only girls, but there are also some middle school boys that are around 11 and 12. So I'm hoping some of the guys will answer that question. And that's why, if you guys have, followed my interviews, I tend to ask you that question and couch it in your 12-year-old self, because I literally do also do this on YouTube, and they watch it. They get to see it. So there are actually 12-year-olds that listen to this segment and listen to your answers. And I think when people can see themselves in you and to know, oh my gosh, what I'm going through right now, I'm not the only one. So when Mary Lynn said about the unpopular kids and using those terms, I'm so grateful because you've spoken and you put it to where they could get it. And I'm grateful that Stephanie, spoke about her experience in Chicago, and then Pamsky spoke about her experience with her own family. So I'm just saying, I love that, to put that type of question, because I know that I do have kids that are, not only just at my school, but even from my previous schools, that continue to go and they listen to, these clips that I put on YouTube specifically of that 12-year-old question. So I just wanted to put that in context. So I'm hoping that more people will, take a short time to answer that question. Thank you so much, Pamsky, and Mary Lynn and Stephanie. Back to you, Pamsky.
So good. Thank you. Yes. Does anybody else have any other, what would you say to the 12-year-old you about hope?
Hello, this is Raven. I would tell my 12-year-old self that it wasn't my fault that my parents separated. That was okay, that adults have problems, and sometimes as kids we think that we cause the problem. We don't. So it's okay to let it go and let them deal with it, what they needed to deal with, so I could heal them.
Thank you for that. Yes. And I think that's something that we do need to remind ourselves. I love that you said that, because that's super powerful, that we do need to remind ourselves that it's not our fault. And sometimes, you said that your parents divorced or separated. I think, we need to say that to ourselves about a lot of different things, because I think as young adults or young, children growing up, we take on that guilt and think it's our fault that something is going on. It's almost natural for us to do that. So I love that you brought that up. That was really good. Thank you. Anybody else?
Hey, I'd love to go. It's Trisha. Hey, so I would love to say that I would like to continue to hear everything that my mother and father told me, because I had a very supportive family lifestyle, and my 12-year-old years were right around the kids were fantastic, and everything was wonderful. I think the narrative changed as I got older, and people tried to shape me into believing other things differently in my older years, and people tried to, you tried to fit in as your teenage years got older and older, and you tried to, be with the cool kids, and you tried to do all the things. But my mother was telling me at that time, show me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. And she always was trying to be supportive and positive and all the wonderful things. And to this day, she's 85 years old and she's still that way. And I think about her saying that, show me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. And it's basically what we say now. The 5 people that you hang out with, 5 people that you surround yourself with, and you're 6. It's the same statement. It's the same thing. So that's what I would probably tell myself. Be exactly what your parents are encouraging you to be. Stand strong, stand in your truth, and do the things that they want you to do. So I was truly blessed at that age. I just love it. I love that question.
That's so encouraging. I love that too. And I love the fact that they just breathe truth into you right from the beginning, and we talked about foundation a little bit here, and I'm thinking, wow, what a great foundation to have, and to be able to follow through with, even when people were trying to tell you different or putting you in a box, it's like, and I think that's why it is important for people to speak truth to us, because, we do have things that come our way. I loved what you said about, it was a little bit later that things came your way to try to tell you differently, but you had that foundation and that truth ingrained in you. So you were able, at some point be able to say, no, wait a minute here. And I think that's what's important for us. And I think that foundation can be laid at any time. Like for me, Yeah, okay. So I didn't have a great growing up, and my family was very dysfunctional and stuff. But I look, it actually helped me make me who I am today. But my foundation of truth got laid down later in life. But yet it's still my foundation because it's where my truth really comes from. And I think that having those foundations, and I want to say that because I think sometimes, whoever's listening, sometimes we feel like, man, I just had, a terrible foundation, or I had a really good foundation, but life came at me strong. And what I want to say is, you know what? You can relay the foundation. Like, you can relay the foundation, right? You can relay the foundation. And the people that you do surround yourself, I love that she said this because it's so true. The people you surround yourself with is going to determine what kind of foundation you're going to lay. And and that is your choice. Like, I remember I was said during my deepest healing, you have a choice. And I remember being so angry because I'm thinking, I didn't ask for parents like this. I didn't ask to be born into this. I didn't ask for the abuse that happened. But the truth was I had a choice as to how I was going to respond, not react, but respond to what happened and what was going on, and how it affected me. And that is when I decided to lay down a new foundation. And that meant I needed to stop hanging out with the people I was hanging out with because they just kept the fire of dysfunction going and the lies. And it was like, okay, you know what? I need to start finding healthier people and make that choice of how I'm going to, because I got stuck in the victim mentality. I did. I got stuck in the victim mentality. And when I got stuck there, I just kept allowing things to keep going and going and going. And it was sinking me. It was sinking me. And the day I realized, you know what, I do have a choice here. What? All right. Well, my choice is I want to live. I want to live. And so I began to lay that foundation. I began to look around and say, okay, these people, I had to decide how much time I was going to spend with certain people. I had to let go of some things. And so I kind of want to end, if Shawnte will let me end with this, because her last question was, what are your parting thoughts? So my word for this year is bold. And I cannot even begin to tell you the things that have happened this year since I picked that word, or since that word was actually given to me. Being bold, a couple of years ago, I have an acronym for bold, and I use it in my programs. And I want to share it with you because I think this is something, as we're talking about, looking at ourselves and looking at where we've been, where we're going. Bold actually is break away from the victim mentality. And that was something I had to do. And I think if you're in the victim mentality, you need to break out of that because it's not going to serve you well. O is own what's yours. Own your own feelings. You don't have to take on other people's feelings or opinions. Own your own. And if you don't know what your own opinions are, then take time to really get to know yourself. I'm all about self-care, having boundaries, and, all those things. And I think we need to take some time to look at what are our own opinions? What are our own feelings, and not meshed with somebody else? How is to let go? Let go of those things that don't serve you well. Don't hold on to resentments. Don't hold on to things that are not serving you and not helping you move forward. And D is deepen or develop healthy relationships. Exactly what we need to do is develop healthy relationships. You are worthy of having relationships that breathe life into you and that you can breathe life into others. You are worthy of having relationships that honor you and respect you. You are worthy to have relationships that will help grow you and move you forward. So I just want to end with that, and I'm going to go back to the quote that that I had said before when I thought we were done, and that is, life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. So keep moving, keep going. Thank you so much, Shawnte, for this. I loved it. Loved being with you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. Rocky, can I keep my word really quick and do the giveaway that I promised?
Sure. Can y'all hear me okay? I got a new microphone.
Yes, ma'am. We sure can. So really quick, you guys, thank Pamski. But before we started the interview, at the start of it, I had said there was one thing that impacts your health more than anything as far as your longevity goes. Who has the answer to that question? What is the one thing that impacts your health more than anything?
Relationship.
Who was that?
From New York.
All right, Patty is our winner. Thank you so very much, Patty. Please inbox me and I will give you a choice between 2 books that I will go ahead and send out to you, or another actual health product. So Patty, DM me and I will get that to you. Rocky, thank you so much for that grace to do that giveaway. You guys, I will see you all in 2 weeks. Thanks for keeping me in your prayers. Hopefully my voice, and I will be obedient to what the surgeon said and do what I got to do so that I can heal my voice. Back to you guys. Thank you so much. Rocky, over to you. Woo! Thank you, Pamski.
Have you eaten avocados lately?
So, I've been forced. I had to do almost like this avocado paste. It was filling because I was on like a liquids only thing. I was like thinking about you, Amir, and I was like, I hate this freaking avocado. Sounding like grouchy Smurf. But you know what? It was actually pretty good. So yes, I did 2 days while I was on that liquids only soft kind of thing. So it was actually really good. I was surprised.
I'm gonna make you proud. I've been drinking. I've lost about 4 pounds already in a week.
Yeah.
Starving. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to give you a choice today, okay? Because I tend to talk about my business a lot, but I am fully aware that